After nearly 3 decades of globe-trotting missions, high-octane stunts, and Tom Cruise sprinting like the fate of the universe depends on it, the Mission Impossible franchise has finally reached the end of the road. And honestly, I'm not sure I'm ready to say goodbye. Hi there, I'm Ezuko, and I just saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which is the final chapter of the Mission Impossible franchise. And here's my non-spoiler review of the movie. What worked, what didn't work, and was this truly a send-off that this franchise deserves? Let's find out. I practically grew up with Mission Impossible movies. I was just a kid when the first one dropped, and I can still remember the intense rush. Sitting on the edge of the seat, holding my breath and practically squeezing the arms of the chair, and praying to God that it can cut the right wire before the clock hits 0. And the funny thing is that back then, even though you knew that he would pull it off, it still felt like maybe, just maybe he wouldn't. You see that tension, that adrenaline hit is still there in this movie, and Dead Reckoning cranks it up. There's this one underwater scene in this movie, and I kid you not, I found myself gasping for air along with the characters in this movie. Every second felt like something would go wrong. There was no backup plan, no guarantees, just pure suspense, and everything was left for chance. It really felt like a true impossible mission, a ticking clock, and it doesn't wait things can fall apart. You would notice that the movie is quite aware that this is the final installment, and they lean heavily into legacy. Some scenes flash back to the earlier missions, anchoring the story into its own history. It nods to the previous films, not just with Easter eggs, but through actual story connections. It's a clever way of saying this has always been one long mission and one long chase. The movie even pokes fun at itself by acknowledging that the story has a pattern here, and that was a clever way to enrich the plot and move the plot forward a bit. Can we take a moment to talk about Tom Cruise himself? This man is in his 60s and he's still doing death-defying stunts by himself that leave other action stars in the dust. And with the Oscars finally including a category for stunt works, I'm really hoping that Tom Cruise and his entire team gets a recognition. The scale, the planning, the risk, it's just so unreal. Now, here's where I might lose some of you, but the movie is not perfect. They spent way too much time explaining the plot and talking about the incoming threats. I just needed them to do more showing than explaining. Another thing, I've never really connected emotionally with any of the characters in the Mission Impossible franchise, like in any of their movies. Don't get me wrong, the actors are exceptional, but I just don't feel that emotional depth I normally look out for in movies. Even when a major character dies in this movie, it just felt like another, checkpoint in the movie. Well, maybe that's not why we watch Mission Impossible, right? We come for the action, the tension, and the sheer spectacle of it, and in that department, Mission Impossible delivers. Well, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is a proper farewell and a send-off to the entire franchise. The movie is not trying to reinvent any wheel, it's just spinning the wheel a little bit faster and louder. Everything in the movie just ties into a proper conclusion. Anyway, my final rating for this movie is a 7.5 out of 10. The movie isn't perfect, but it knows exactly the kind of movie that it wants to be. But now, I want to hear from you. What keeps you coming back to this franchise? Is it the action, the characters, or Tom Cruise's absolute madness? And if you follow this in the movie, do you think that's a proper way to end it? Let's talk in the comment section and I'll respond to every one of you. I want to take this moment to thank you all for 100 subscribers. You guys are the real deal. Now the next target is 150 subscribers. In this channel, we talk about movies at least once a week. So if you're into that, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.